Hello. This will be chapter 17 from the White Book. Never again still means never again. I didn't publicize at all this channel. I don't have no idea if there's 10 people watching it or 1,000 or more. I have no idea. And if anyone has actually listened to all 17 chapters that I read, leave me something in a note or whatever, and tell me what you thought. But I've never done this before, and it's a little bit more difficult, but certainly more difficult than I thought. So I have a newfound respect for people that just get up to the mic and rock it right out. I've done it a few times, but I want to make sure my facts are right. So it's tough to remember all that from me, and at the same time give my opinion. Anyway, I hope someone's gotten something out of this. We as Jews, we have some issues right now, some big issues, especially with growth. We are doing, as far as I can tell, nothing to help ourselves grow, and that needs to be a big push. A lot of bullshit's gone on in the last few months with October 7th in Israel, and anti-Semitism came to light quicker, faster, and much more powerful than I've ever seen in my life. But I don't want to say put it aside, but in the back of your mind, you just have to think, what am I doing to help Judaism grow? What am I doing to make sure I'm doing something related with the synagogue or the Jewish Center or something? It's just our numbers are dwindling, and it's quick. But anyway, this is the last chapter of both books. Here we go. Chapter 17 again. Never again still means never again. The quote I have up on top, quote, "We have no choice but to strike the terrorist organizations wherever we can reach them. That is our obligation to ourselves and to peace. We shall fulfill that obligation undauntedly." End of quote. By the beautiful and lovely Golda Meir. Here's a chapter. I want to start out by reminding everyone that we, as Jews, made an oath of never again. I've laid my response out many times already, so what's yours? I will add a few more highlights to this very serious and extremely important topic, but I cannot do it alone. We either continue our current do-nothing reactionary response to anti-Semitism or we get proactive, aggressive, and go on the offense against anyone who wants to harm Jews, our families, our synagogues, and more. Never again started with the ending of the Holocaust and the creation of Israel. What those Jews did in that land at that time has no words. Israel established and continues daily to enforce never again. If they know they're going to face a lot of backlash or not, they do it. Our parents and grandparents who came to this country in droves from around the late 1800s until the 1950s, and in many cases not knowing the language, planted Jewish roots in this wonderful country and slowly made a voice for Jews that were here. Most of the Jewish organizations we know of today were started by, run by, and grown by them. It wasn't easy, but they already knew that. They made no excuses while growing our religion in this country, and when called on, enforced never again. What have we done? Because of our parents and grandparents, we have been afforded the ability and opportunity in this country to exceed on so many levels. The truly staggering number of achievements that we, as a very small minority, have achieved here was made possible by their sacrifices. So, when it finally came our turn to give the gifts we received to our children, what did we do? We simply hit the snooze button and went back to bed. Their lack of religious opportunities from our abundance is being squandered by losing the only thing they really ever wanted us to continue. Do you think they'd be happy with us? Proud of us? What role in Never Again are we undertaking? What do you think our children are going to eventually write about us? The book title, Never Again Still Means Never Again, is a reminder to Jews that we do not need to be held verbally or physically hostage to any individual or group ever again. As a minority, we have an obligation to protect our own by any means necessary. Our law enforcement resources, including city, state, and all federal agencies that are made up of outstanding men and women, do not have nearly the time and manpower to ensure the safety of all Jews 24 hours a day. Furthermore, there are plenty of laws that protect each and every citizen in the United States and also ensure we defend ourselves. Those laws are pretty clear and concise. As citizens, we are given a lot of leeway to enforce those laws and protect ourselves. In September 1972, Germany held the Olympic Games in Munich. As we know, 11 Israeli athletes and coaches were murdered by a terrorist group at the Games. As you'll see, the incompetency level of Germany's actions and response was so horrifically shameful that I still have doubts about Germany's role. Anyway, I'm using this event to highlight two things. One, remind everyone of the event itself, and two, to highlight Israel's response. A response, I might add, as an example to all Jews in this country on how we should reply. A simple, justifiable response that we will indoctrinate and have us as a new mindset. Only 27 years after the Nazis murdered 6 million Jews, only 27 years of Germany having to rebuild its society and dignity and come to grips with the atrocities that spread throughout their nation. And yet, they somehow managed to pull off one of the largest blunders of the last 50 years. The words abhorrent, ignorant, and outrageous are compliments when you consider what took place at the Olympic Games in Munich on September 5th and 6th, 1972. Again, only 27 years after the Nazis were defeated. 5 Israeli athletes and 6 coaches were murdered by the terrorist group known as Black September. Now, maybe I'm missing something, but wouldn't you think with the Olympic Games being held in Germany at that time that the one thing the Germans would absolutely do is to make sure that nothing happened to the Jewish athletes and coaches on their watch? I'm talking about precautions such as assigning multiple military units, if need be, to protect them at night and have armed security with each athlete throughout the day. At a minimum, security guards should have been watching their rooms 24/7 in case someone wanted to plant an incendiary device. Anyway, Germany provided no security. The Israelis were put on the ground floor in a relatively isolated part of the Olympic Village. Do you know how the terrorist group Black September got into the athletes' village? They simply hopped a fence. And not only did they hop a fence, but they also hopped it with another country's athletes who needed to get back to their rooms. There were no armed personnel anywhere. Der Spiegel reported, and it's never been refuted, that German authorities were tipped off by an informant about the Palestinians planning an incident, and the informant's information was credible enough that the German Foreign Ministry in Bonn sent the information to the Secret Service in Munich and told them to take all possible security measures. The German authorities did nothing. A contingent of Jews on German soil in front of the whole world, and they didn't think to ramp up security with a credible threat? During the hostage negotiations, the Germans sent in 38 West German police officers who, of course, had not a clue how to respond to a terrorist plot. It was simply an absolute boondoggle disgrace. Oh, and to really highlight the incompetency of the German operation, the police didn't bother telling any camera crews who were filming on site not to record. So the terrorists, who had televisions on in each room to see how the coverage was going, could see the positions of all the officers. Those guys, those terrorist dickheads, must have been laughing their asses off. The hostage negotiations were going nowhere. The terrorists conceded on 5 separate occasions to push back the time on negotiations. Now, the Germans agreed to supply a plane and transport all the terrorists and hostages to the airport in 2 helicopters. Guess what? The Germans had no intention of letting any member of Black September or the hostages leave on that plane. And by no intention, I mean, so the Germans brought in 5 snipers. Yes, 5. There were 8 terrorists, and in these type of hostage situations, it's usually a ratio of 3 to 5 snipers attached to 1 terrorist, meaning there should have been 24 to 40 actual snipers, by the way, but snipers, not 5. They had 5. Furthermore, the 5 German snipers were also police officers, and none of them were trained snipers. Those 5 were picked because they shot competitively on the weekends. Unbelievable. Up until the helicopters landed at the airport, the German police thought there were only 2 to 3 terrorists. All that time, in all their negotiations and checking on the hostages, no one was able to pick up more than 3 terrorists. On the plane, there were 16 crew members, all armed German police officers. When the crew saw that there were 8 terrorists, they abandoned the plane. In case you missed that last sentence, all 16 armed German police officers abandoned their cover in the airplane when they saw 8 terrorists. Again, I don't think the Germans were in cahoots with the terrorists, but with the sheer ignorance and ineptitude, I wouldn't be shocked. There's a lot more that happened at the airport and certainly in the aftermath of all this, but in the end, 11 Israelis were dead. That's 11 intelligent, tough, stoic, beautiful Israeli athletes dead. The world-class incompetence of Germany led to a lot more countries developing anti-terrorist units and the Olympics requiring changes to security, but it didn't need to be on the back, again, of 11 Jews. Anyway, did Israel sit back and wait for another country to respond or, try to find a company that they can make negotiations with? No. The tough, witty Zionist beauty of Israel, Golda Meir, would not allow this massacre to go unpunished. On September 12th, 1972, in her address to the Knesset about the response to the Munich attack, she said, quote, "We have no choice but to strike at the terrorist organizations wherever we can reach them. That is our obligation to ourselves and to peace, and we shall fulfill that obligation undauntingly." End quote. Yes, I agree. And Israel responded. Golda's comments and Israel's response should always be our response. It may have taken years, but Israel eventually tracked down and killed all those suspected of planning or participating in the massacre. Israel also bombed 10 PLO bases in Syria and Lebanon, killing 200 militants and 11 civilians. My point in all of this is that Israel responded. Unfortunately, our response to anti-Semites in this country has been the opposite. It's pitiful and non-existent. That ends now. And the long-awaited mantra of never again will appear as our policy to defend any Jew that is being hunted. I am speaking directly to you, us, the Jews, who live in this country. If you're sick and tired of any anti-Semitic behavior and want to do something about it, maybe this is an outlet you will support. I'm not talking financially. I'm talking standing with. The ADL does a great job of reporting and documenting anti-Semitism, and from the ADL website, they, quote, monitor, respond, educate, advocate, speak out about anti-Semitism, end quote, and they represent other minorities and inclusion. That's great, and we appreciate their diligent reporting. However, the ADL and every other Jewish organization, group and organization in this country does nothing to assist in the prevention of hate groups by not proactively and directly engaging the lunatics. My point is, no Jewish organizations allow or enable us to go on the offensive. So, every response is reactionary. It's not working. And why should we always wait until after a Jew has been assaulted or injured to reply with a meager response? No laws need to be broken in order for us to get in front of this, and surely we are allowed to defend ourselves. At this time, we have no offensive capabilities. Well, that's about to change. I'd like it to change. I'm trying to do things to get it to change, but it'll take time. Anyways, if you've read through to this point, you understand and feel my passion for Judaism and why we no longer have to take any more crap from anyone, especially from ignorant people that none of us have affected in any way. I'm done. Hopefully we're done. All the contributions we've made in this country and people still want us out or worse, sorry, not happening. I was born here. I was raised here. So you can pack up and leave. These people that want to harm and hurt us, I declare they're fair game. They need to be outed. We need to make sure their families, co-workers, neighbors, whomever know which hate group they belong to, where their meetings are, what type of underwear they wear, what their favorite color on their robes, whatever. I say we need to go after them. Any of them, any anti-Semite. If any hate group members want to reciprocate by telling everyone I know that I'm Jewish, I accept that. So you can out me. All right? Because we're going to be outing you. We have the resources and personnel, which will be much more powerful than all their groups combined if needed. I think we've spent enough time on defense and simply just taking it. It's time. I do want to highlight that we will not go after hate groups as they do us, meaning we will not target their children, their elderly, or their innocents. Nope, just hate group members only. We need to make sure that cowardly wimps like that nut job in Pittsburgh are dealt with before they try and hurt us. If they want to injure and intimidate the defenseless because we are Jews, fine. Let's finally get on the offensive side of the ball here and get after them. By the way, I'm sure a lot of you anti-Semites high-fived or gave a fist bump upon hearing the news about that coward in Pittsburgh. I am curious, did anything change in your life from the outcome of those murders? Can you tell me what benefits you or your groups gain? I'm giving notice to my fellow Jews and all hate groups, albeit on short notice, but you better get your act together, as we are no longer going to sit idly by. You know we have the will and the means, so either stop now or good luck. I've mentioned it a couple of times, but this will be the last. I have absolutely no problem with hate groups as a place to congregate, have meetings, and legally gather. Obviously, I think hate groups are idiotic, stupid, ignorant, myopic, asinine, etc., especially since they include following a psychotic, sociopathic murder, but our laws are clear in this country, and if that's your thing, fine, have a good time. You can continually talk about how every minority group is taking advantage of you and blames us for your misgivings. Knock yourself out. I might even stop by and check out one of your meetings myself. But, the days of getting physical, defacing property, and intimidating Jews will now be addressed and aggressively. Some of these hate groups have been around for over 100 years. Please list all their accomplishments. What have they done? What changes have been made because of their groups? Have you successfully kept out Jews, blacks, homosexuals, or anyone from your neighborhoods? Any of you anti-Semitic groups want to comment on that? I've launched a website that allows disagreements and dissension on a message board. We also be able to talk sports, politics, anything, as long as it's civil. Hate groups and non-hate group members are encouraged to join. Anyone can post or stay as long as they're respectful. Imagine being part of a website where you can confront your supposed enemy directly. Imagine that. I think if you come in with an open mind, you'll be shocked to find that we have way more in common than you think. We will always, Jews in general, we will always seek peace first, because escalation between people with differences should be settled with words and respect until it's not. Hate groups have done enough in the past to justify our responding years ago, but fortunately for them, we did nothing. Our responses to all hate groups will be on a need-to-know basis, and I won't reveal them. Anyway, if you deface our properties, we'll deface your homes. You throw bricks through our properties, fine. They'll be thrown into your homes. You try to burn down our properties, injure or attack us. This has been building and is 100% placed on you, the hate groups, the degenerates, the anti-Semites. For years, we've been sitting back trying to better our lives, our families' lives, and our friends' lives, while you've supported groups that are planning to harm us. There is just no way that even you guys could possibly argue with that, with a response from us. We will just simply no longer accept being hunted for our religion and culture, especially by the most ignorant of our society. If other minority groups want to help and you're sick and tired of their nonsense too, well, Our resources will be your resources. As far as I'm concerned, this is, again, self-inflicted and inexcusable. If we're not going to do anything, then who on earth are we to blame? We are going to establish an agency to very aggressively go after anyone, anywhere, at any time that wants to injure us because of our religious and cultural beliefs. This is a project I've been starting on. I haven't had as much time as I like to get a group together. So if you hear this or you've read the book and you want to get involved, you can get a hold of me through the website. And it's neveragainmeans.com. It's just, I mean, how long are we going to take this shit? It's just, all right. I don't even know where I'm at. As far as I'm concerned, this is, again, self-inflicted and inexcusable. If we're not going to do anything, then who on earth are we to blame? In this day and age, it's a much simpler environment to do this when all you need is electricity, a computer, and individuals ready to start offensively responding to others from the confines of wherever you're at. The internet has provided that. We are starting, again, to take a little bit too much crap in a country that has given us much. And we've always tried to return the same. Isn't the retribution more than justified at this point? I'm sure the ADL is tired of writing all these articles, constantly highlighting these anti-Semitic incidents. The ADL reported 2,717 anti-Semitic incidents in 2021 and 2,026 in 2020. Soon, hopefully, they'll be able to highlight our stories because the sit back and wait or sit back and hope statute of limitations is up. Yes, time's up for the Aryan, for the anti-Semitic, for the ignorant trying to hurt us. White supremacist cowards. There are just too many racist leeches who contribute virtually nothing and are under the same laws and freedoms we're under. Yet they target us with no recourse. Can we not defend ourselves? Should we not defend ourselves? If a group or mob has written charter rules and engages in private or public clear anti-Semitism, are we not allowed to bring them to justice? I just don't understand why we need to wait another minute to defend ourselves. If a mob has formed for some destruction, injury, or death to us, can't we immediately do something? Or do we just have to sit back and take it? I will answer that. Never again. Herd mentality or mob mentality is a daily fight in this country. The definition of those mentalities describe how people can be influenced by so-called leaders or their peers to adopt certain behaviors on a largely emotional rather than rational basis. For thousands of years, we, as Jews, have eaten a ton of shit for basically no cause. Are we going to stay with the status quo? Or are we going to let everyone know that Never Again is open for business? We have the resources, we have the will, and we definitely have the justification. We'll start an open dialogue with any hate group or individual who wants to talk, but we'll talk once they dial our numbers first. Calling these has been a waste of time. One consistent and extremely ignorant comment I hear from hate groups is always funny to me. A lot of you think you are more American than us. How does one convince themselves of that? What is the groundwork or rules to be more American than somebody else? Here's my rule, and I just have one regarding this topic. It's pretty scientific, so I won't go into all the details that may confuse anyone. Anyways, it's, quote, are you a U.S. citizen or are you not a U.S. citizen? End quote. There should be no hierarchy in your heads about citizenship, as it's pretty cut and dry. Why you don't understand this very basic question and answer, I'll never understand. Stop trying the intimidation and threatening route. It's ineffective and pointless, and you've gained nothing from it. Nothing. If you want to make some real changes, go get people who align their views with yours elected. If you're not getting laws changed, you can burn 1,000,000 crosses, but you will still have to pay a fine. I'm still trying to figure out how many people I'll need. I'm trying to put this group together, this aggressive group together. So I guess, we'll be starting out slowly and methodically, until I'm satisfied. And then we'll focus on growth. If someone is interested and feels that they have the know-how and resolve, call me. You can get a hold of me. We're just so complacent, in this kind of stuff. We don't need to be. Individually or in a group, everyone wants peace and security. And that is universally accepted worldwide. One of the things I pride myself on is that I do not judge people. Anyone, no matter their race, religion, woke, unwoke status, Democrat, Republican, affiliation, color, size, deficiencies, whatever, I do not judge them. So, for us, going forward, there will be no more messing around. No more of this, quote, let's see what happens, and we'll deal with it nicely or passively or not at all, end quote. Our passive responses do not work unless you consider 4,700 anti-Semitic incidents in the last 2 years alone acceptable. No more responses with just harsh letters and identifying your groups to the media. Every Jew will be represented, and I'm looking forward to this new approach. We are going to set up a hate group hotline that we will not monitor. Just a simple phone number and email address of that nature. I think it's already on the website. This is to help individuals who have questions or are just looking to get out of the hate groups and aren't sure how. We will have zero influence over any hate group individuals who want help. We will have zero listening abilities, conversations, communications, other than to get you information, and we'll help fund it. I will say this again. The United States of America has been a bastion of light since its inception. The founding fathers of this country set up a government and judicial laws so forward-thinking that they still exist today. Brilliant men. Those men fought a lot when writing up our government, constitution, etc. But handshakes, or eventual handshakes, and maybe a beer or two, usually end the evening, followed up by more bickering the next day. My point is, we can have dissension in this country. We can have different opinions. We can have hate. We are afforded all of that by those men who wrote those documents a long time ago. However, misplaced hate always needs to be addressed, and violent hate that results in property damage, injury, terror, or death certainly deserves no place in our society. And one more time, as a group, no Jews are trying to screw you over today. And no Jewish group is going to try and screw you over tomorrow. No homosexual, no African American, no mentally or physically handicapped, no other religion, nobody as a group. As individuals in specific cases, of course, they can. But, as a charter being to go after, no. So you have a 0.00001% chance of getting anyone deported or thrown out of this country. So what goes your group with all these, foreigners here? Look at this country, our country. Many people worldwide have benefited from something that came out of this country, out of the U.S. In the overall shelf life of countries, we are still pretty young. However, a young country such as ours has to produce some of, if not the most diverse, talented, and creative people the world has seen, and we are fortunate enough to call them fellow Americans. Trying to emulate good people, all good people, has been a standard for every culture and nation for thousands of years. Here are some names I came up with while looking at various topics. I kind of sometimes when I was doing stuff, I would just write down somebody's name who contributed something to this country. Why anyone would care about their sexual preference, color, religion, disabilities, etc. is so asinine to me that even with my open mind, I just can't see an opposite side. This is but a very, 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 very few. and you should find out who they were or are. Millions upon millions of Americans could be named. I just, wrote down these. Not Jewish, but just people that you could emulate and look up to. I started out with this guy is just an absolute stud. Dwight D. Eisenhower, look him up. Jesse Owens, J.P. Morgan, Abraham Lincoln, Thurgood Marshall, Muhammad Ali, Mae Jemison, Billie Holiday, Aretha Franklin, Toni Morrison, Henry Gerber, Serena Williams, Marsha P. Johnson, Harvey Milk, Billie Jean King, Sally Ride, Adrian Hamilton, Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, Pocahontas, Jack Nicklaus, and Thomas Edison. Our country produced these people. And again, many, many more. Our country. What have any of your hate group members accomplished that's anywhere in the same stratosphere as these people and the tremendous more I could list? What possible scenario did you come up with to convince yourselves and allow you to think you are entitled to tell other Americans to leave this country or intimidate them, injure them, deface their property? When you see someone in a car that you think you deserve, you don't. You don't deserve that car. When you see some guy with a woman that you think you should be with, you don't. There aren't many groups or organizations that I can think of that waste more of their time to accomplish nothing than hate groups. If your groups really and truly want to help this country on issues that directly involve you, your family, and your friends, why don't you shift your energy over to the education and drug problems of this country? I assure you, those two issues alone have a million times more impact on you and your lives than any Jew or minority ever will. If you want to get involved and you think you have the necessary skills to help, please email me at author@neveragainmeans.com. That is again, author, AUTHOR, at neveragainmeans, NEVERAGAINMEANS.com. Please. Anyway, I will say it again. Personally, I'm done with any anti-Semitic and racist organizations. Done. I'm done with the ignorance, the stupidity, and the threats. We have the intelligence, manpower, and guts to go after ignorant groups, and we're coming. May not happen today. We're coming. In the end, we all know your true reason, your ignorant reason, is because we are Jews. Yes. Yes, we are. We are proud, very proud, and extremely fortunate to call ourselves Jews. We are a small religion, yet proud. For good or bad, we have memorials of our people in locations all around the world. We accept our past, for both the good and the faults that we've made. We love Israel and every country that helped make it happen. We embrace our customs and traditions and will never apologize for them. We respect. We have a long and beautiful history and are all bound to further and continue this beautiful, beautiful religion with nothing but good. It's filled with nothing but good. We understand, but we need to make sure that we remember and honor our past while ensuring and protecting our future. Who are we if we don't? If we cannot protect our own, and if we do not respect, then anti-Semitic incidents will continue. That, unfortunately, is a proven fact. As Jews, we all share a common bond in many ways, but we always need to remember that letting our guard down, allowing people to disseminate lies on public forums, and doing structural and physical damage to us today without a response or recourse allows me to remind everyone once again, never again means never again. Thank you.